All right, folks, welcome back to Zupi the Autotelic Mindset Podcast. I'm here with Josip Brusic, um, Canadian Olympian, skeleton. Very fortunate to have him on board here as he just came back from the Winter Olympic Games. So, kind of say to the athletes, um, thank you for coming on. And I know it's very fresh, but I'm hopefully it kind of came down from the high and you're kind of back to reality a little bit as close as you can be. So thanks for coming on here.
And thank you for having me, Ryan.
So yeah, let's just kind of dive into this right away. Yeah, let's get your story on kind of how you kind of got started in skeleton. These are not the most common sports that the average person gets into. So kind of give me yeah, your journey to how you kind of got into this sport and where you are today.
Well, the full rundown starts when I did my first ever RBC training ground. And Those that don't know, RBC training ground is a fitness combine where they test your power, speed, strength, and endurance. And then from there, like different sports would reach out to you, like Canadian amateur sports would reach out to you, and then to try it out. Um, and after you've passed the first two qualifying events, you would be invited to the final, and that's what happened for me. I went to the final. Uh, Unfortunately, skeleton was not a part of it yet. So uh, haven't joined the direct route from RBC, the training ground. But it really gave me confidence to start like dreaming towards that higher level to become an Olympian. And then I joined track and field, but I would always play a lot of different sports. And then my coach knew my dreams and my goals to go to the games. And this was in Calgary, where there was a big sliding sport culture, still from the games back in the 80s, and the track that they used to have there. A lot of Olympians would, especially for sliding sports, would go from track and field to bobsled or skeleton. So I got recommended to give it a shot, and that's exactly what I did. I came to Whistler, um, and I tried it out, liked it, and stuck around with it.
Awesome. So how old would you have been when you did the RBC training ground trials?
I was the first time I've ever done it was I was around 16, and then I've only joined skeleton when I was 20, so there was like a big gap in between those two moments. Uh, but it uh, if like skeleton is with the RBC training ground program now, and that's how we get most of our athletes. So I always like to, I guess, mention that in my journey because it did play a major part in it, especially in discussion with the goals with my track and field coach.
So during track and field, was your dream to be go to the Olympics for track and field?
Um, it was, uh, well, like I'm sure we all had dreams to be run faster, but that's just, it was not, I was not headed down that path. So um, the next thing was skeleton.
Okay, and then so what made your coach say, why don't you go check this out and see it, let's see what you think of it because skeleton. Well, I guess it is common in your community, but it's not necessarily the most common sports out there. So what made him kind of direct you that way?
It was from the training ground event. That was because I've made it to the final, which was the top 100 athletes in whole Canada. It was it was an impressive feat, but it didn't lead to anywhere at the time, other than yeah, it didn't lead towards any sports or anywhere. So he knew that I was a good athlete and I was a multi-sport. I'm like quickly adaptable to things. But he also knew that my goals would not be realized through in track and field, and he wanted to. Uh, we had a good conversation where it would be better aligned if I was to go try it out. And I was very open-minded at the time.
Mhm.
It was a perfect fit in my work, school, and schedule. So I really I had no expectations. uh, when I was first trying out, and I learned to like it.
Cool. So yeah, so talk about that. Like doing a sport you've probably never done. Like, so did you first you started it like you said, kind of grew on you? What was the kind of progression of you're like, okay, like, hey, maybe this is something I pursue, and there's big opportunities here. When did that kind of hit you?
So when you first try it, you have to try. When you first start doing skeleton, it is very, very unnatural. No matter how athletic you may be, you're laying on your stomach, you're sliding head first, and you're trying to make some sense of it. Uh, when you first time doing it, it's in Whistler, and it's on very low height. It's where where public goes from, for the first day, and the next day you keep on moving up the track. So the track is a kilometer long, 16 corners. You make it like you start halfway down the track. So like you only have 6 corners to go. And then you slowly go up and up and up. In my first week, I was progressing. I was going to higher heights. I made it to the second highest height, not quite the top of the track yet, but just the height below that. And it was during the World Cup event, so all the international sliders were there. That was a really cool experience to kind of glance at that higher level and the community of skeleton. But that also meant that the ice conditions, and this is crucial in our sport because during the big races, the ice conditions are in pristine condition, which means the sleds are going to be a lot faster. Yeah, so the progression was I've actually, and because the ice was so fast, I've crashed, uh, and I was done for the week. My first week, like that was towards the end of my training week, and then it was a really big crash. It was really everyone knew about it right away, the whole skeleton community. Um, but that was kind of the deciding moment if I'm gonna like stay or not. And then the following days, the following towards the next camp, there was a couple of weeks in between, and I really wasn't done with it. I didn't want to be done with it. I knew exactly what went wrong and how I could fix it. So I wanted to give it another shot. And after I've came back into it again, that's when I've really started to get hooked on it because that's when I started to improve and make it to the top of the track. That's when you can truly call yourself a skeleton athlete is when you made it to the top. You graduate.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice. So you got in, you did your second kind of run through. Um, so explain to me like that adrenaline you kind of got while doing it because it's a lot different than probably some of the other sports you have played. Was it something that adrenaline was that something that was kind of new to you with this fact you're going so fast down, um, kind of like a run, or like how'd you get used to that, and what were kind of the feelings and emotions that you gathered through your experience, kind of training at first?
Yes, so when you first there's unless you're doing alpine skiing or extreme winter sports where you're used to the speed, I didn't do any of those sports. I would do traditional sports like all the team sports, volleyball, basketball, wrestling, rugby, all those things, but there was nothing quite like it where you feel like your life is in danger. You're at risk at a serious injury if you don't execute what you need to do, in the way we control the corners and do those things. So it was very much different where we needed to, you need to study for it. You need to know exactly which way the corners go. That's the first thing you need to learn. How many pressures are there and how are you going to control it? So you have your game plan that you need to do, but you've never done the sport yet. So you have all this studying, and now you have to know it and don't forget it while you're in the track. Don't lose track of where you are. Uh, so that preparedness really forces you to bring a level of focus right away. So even at a amateur level, you're expected to uh, bring bring that like go into your zone. So, but your goals and your the only thing you're really focused on doing it first couple of times is you want to survive. You want to make it down the track, less hits as possible, so it doesn't hurt, and you don't have to worry about the times yet. You're just trying to survive.
Nice, nice. So, well, kind of some of the stuff you're alluding to with, memorizing the track. We'll get into like flow state and being in the zone. Um, but before we get into that, um, kind of walk me through a little bit of like the process that got you to the Olympics. And I like to ask athletes because it's a 4-year process. Generally speaking, depends where you kind of jump into the sport. I know it's different when you're first starting out if you just happen to be in, year 3 or year 1, but generally speaking, it's a 4-year process. So with regards to like goal setting, which you kind of alluded to, what's your process, yourself and your coaches that you guys have to prepare yourself for, obviously the Olympics, but all the other events that you have to qualify for. Um, yeah, take me for a ride with your goal setting process.
Oh, okay. For the next or the how it was this time?
A little, your choice, a little bit of both, or
Okay.
whatever's freshest in your mind that you can explain.
Um,
Go for this
uh,
time. Go for this time.
Go this time.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so this time, the way our sport does it is it's a 2-year evaluation period for the games. So the whole team starts to get evaluated uh 2 years prior. So it started in 2024-25 season. Um, and that's when all of our races started to like count for points, and those points would give us a ranking within the team. And then during the Olympic season, which was this season, we have to qualify the sleds for the Olympics. So we need to qualify Canadian men single sleds um, for if you want to go, if your teammate wants to go. But you need to qualify a spot internationally on international races, and that's what we did. We were going through. So myself, I am at a level of developing. So I've started skeleton in 22-23 seasons, so that's almost 4 years now. Um, so I'm still at a developing level, and I've been competing and qualifying through a developing circuit, which is slightly lower than our senior team. And uh, fortunately, at the time, there was no senior men in skeleton this time around. So there was an opening for that, and that was the goal setting, I guess, was really um, it wasn't it wasn't able to look far ahead like 4 years from now, because there's so many factors that can change. There's so many uh because of the rankings and the performance. It's always you perform, always looked at your performance, and then you get a chance to go. So we and uh when you're trying to have goal setting, it's always for the whole team, because it's never just fully invested into one person. It is invested into the whole team, because you never know what is going to happen.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. I like how they have it for the whole team. So for you personally, what was kind of, you're in the developmental stage, but it looks like you had a kind of a rare opportunity, and you kind of took advantage of it based on not having a senior person kind of, let's say, ahead of you. So for your own personal self, um, did you kind of have a goal set? Hey, like maybe there's an opportunity here. If I qualify for these tournaments, I can make my way up. How did you goal set kind of for yourself, or what was kind of your vision in order to get to these Olympic Games?
Um, Well, beginning of the season, when you start thinking performance to yourself, and you start thinking, I need to be this time, I need to be that time,
Okay.
that kind of affects you like somewhat mentally. So you always try to be into like, you just got to do whatever you can, do the best that you can, because um, we we've qualified the sleds, and we've actually qualified uh, 2 sleds, but we only sent one person, and that was fortunately that was me, because there's also a inner criteria within the Canadian program, within our federation, that needs to align with um, like the gold medal profile.
Okay. So it's quite a couple years for you, kind of to say the least. Were you kind of shocked that you had this opportunity to be in the Olympics based on where you were at?
Yes, it was like it is a rare it is quite rare to go into this quickly.
Yeah.
Um so it was really shocking. And it was yeah, but um it felt like at the beginning of the season, um fully convinced that we could do it, but we were always you always trying to don't put like I always try not to put that much pressure on myself, because that really affects my performance. So like I didn't dare to uh have it all or nothing type of mentality for if I make it or if I don't make it. I was gonna stick in this sport for another 4 years,
Yeah.
regardless, and continue my developing journey. But this experience has really skyrocketed my development. It was really like a great experience to be able to see the high level, to be able to know what the expectations are, and to really push for the next 4 years.
Hmm. Almost seems like a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because I always like when I talk to athletes, sometimes what happens is we get so fixated on, the Olympics, the gold medal, and we kind of forget about the process and the journey to get there. So from kind of you explaining, it was almost like I said, a blessing in disguise. You kind of took one day at a time, one competition at a time, and you kind of let the what's the analogy? Let the I'm trying to think of it now. Just kind of let whatever happens kind of happens, and kind of took the pressure off, opposed to being so fixated on the Olympics, the gold medal. I think that kind of whether you kind of seeped into the unconscious mind and kind of propelled you to this next level or this opportunity that you had. Um, so that's really cool, and like we'll allude to a little bit more about pressure we put on ourselves, and how that can work for us and against us. But in your case, it seemed very, just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, which I think when athletes dive into that, they are more successful, which, I think, which gave you your opportunity to go to these games, which is incredible. So walk us through, so we're getting to these emotions now. Like walk us through, maybe let's start with kind of your game day ritual, or how do you maintain emotional balance so you are you're ready to go down for that run. Yeah, how do you control your emotions? And is there a process you go through? Do you start a couple days out? What's the actual day look like? And where's your mind mentally when you're getting ready for this?
Yeah, I mean, for game day or any type of high stakes moment, it's always the same. So you always show up hour 30 before the competition. You go through your things, you set up your sled, and my uh, the way that I need to, what I need to do to get in the zone for every time is uh, our warm up that we do is the very track and field similar. So it starts slow and then gradually builds up into sprints, because there's a running component to the skeleton. So you need to be physically ready. But it also really helps me to get mentally ready. So after the warm up, um, I really start to feel my like body heat. I really need to feel like my temperature rise. I need to be sweating, and I need to be ready to go. And I'm gonna be ready to go 30 minutes before I actually put on my gear and I have my run. During those 30 minutes, you put your equipment on, and then I need to have around 10 minutes of just sitting, being calm. Um, and you mentioned already, and that is, yeah, regulating your emotions. I was gonna say that, like, uh, there's a lot of things happening in the start house where we're changing to be you could be having fun with your teammates, you can be having a lot of different things. You could also maybe feeling the pressure, you could start getting fidgety, you could start moving, your leg could start shaking. Um, and really trying to pay like attention to all of that. And my goal is always to sit as still as possible. And I kind of start to, I guess, stare into space, but actually I'm like trying to visualize my run, and I'm trying to go into the moment of just there's just you in the track. We're in a luxury of it's a very controlled environment. When it's your time to go, you're not really competing against anyone else. It's just you and your performance out there. So it really does not matter. Like you try not to get affected by any of the people around you. Um, and you notice that anytime um, you can spike your emotional, I guess your emotions really quickly when you let other people affect you. So you always want to make sure you I always keep to myself, no more, I guess. Yeah, you don't talk to anyone,
Mhm.
and then it's when you start walking out to the line, it's you slowly start getting into that zone, and then when you're standing at the line, you don't want to be thinking about anything. You don't want to be thinking, I need to run fast. You just want to be blank mind, uh, and then literally no thoughts. Look, kind of trying to shut everything out, and then there's a slight moment when you're standing and you know it's like 30 seconds before you go, and you want to like get like some of that feeling, that excitement to do it. You want to be like, oh, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
You don't want to be like scared, or you don't want to be nervous. You want to like have that like a kid waiting for like their turn on a like water slide, and it's like finally your turn and you're so excited to go, to have some of that like childish joy uh to skeleton, because that's kind of what it feels like. It's a giant frozen water slide. It is fun to do, but it also gets the weight of the races. Like at the beginning when you start skeleton, you just try to survive, it's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But then then you start worrying about the results, the races, of the times, and you really want to always bring that the joy of, oh, this is actually really fun. Um, yeah.
That's cool. It's quite it's really a short period of time, but like you said, you're trying to relegate your emotions, but you're dipping into different emotions throughout that like 1 hour, hour and a half process, which is interesting. So when you're trying to just stay quiet in your zone, are you listening to music? Are you working on your breath? Where are you right when you're doing that kind of stuff? Or are you just sitting there and just, visualize, visualize, visualize?
Yes, so it is music up to like I guess like have a my routine down to the last detail, and I would listen to music till all my equipment is on, and then when everything is on, uh, I I don't want to like you will I want to hear the I guess the quiet movements and chatter of the start house, because you want to get used to the environment. You don't want to be shocked when you take your earbuds on and you have 30 seconds to go.
Yeah.
So you want to kind of acclimatize to everything that's going on around you. You're going to start hearing on the announcements who's gone ahead of you, and then that's when you know it's your turn. Um, so really not so just with my thoughts and what was the other question you said? What's the other part?
Uh, yeah, your music, then your, oh yeah, like are you doing so your visualization?
Yes, yeah. So just trying to uh visualize, and then once it's 2 minutes to go, you stop. You have your game plan is locked in, and um in like a lot of training that we do is the way we talk to ourselves, like our team would help us with trying to get into our zone. And one of the things who they've brought in I guess a coach or a specialist, and uh, uh, the way we talk to ourselves. And it's you always want to be talking positive to yourself. You want to say uh, like what I like to say to myself is I am ready. I'm as prepared as I can be for this moment, and that really like helps you. And it's been like it really does help you, like talking like to yourself. uh, really helps you kind of get like gain confidence.
Cool. So it's like you do like your passive. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I really like the process you guys have. Very, very interesting and kind of allude to what you're kind of saying. Um and some stuff I never really thought about, but it actually kind of makes sense with regards to like with your earphones. Yeah, if you taking them out too late that you're not climatized. I like how you kind of said that before you run down, because I can see how um, taking them out too late, you're not uh, the feelings aren't you're not feeling what you probably should be prior to going on, like you said, the noise, the announcements, and what it may be. So it's a kind of a cool point. I hope people listen to this one because I mean, being a hockey player now that you've mentioned it, a lot of the guys will have their music in and they'll take it out as soon as they go on the ice. I mean, we get a little bit of a warm up, but still, maybe you should be taking them out a little bit earlier to, like you said, get climatized with your environment. So I really like that point you brought up. Like I said, for athletes listening to this, is a cool little tip. Um, but kind of like what you're saying and talking to some of the athletes, especially in the winter sport, skiing and stuff, is with regards to visualization, using as much senses as possible. I always say sometimes you're visualizing, you don't necessarily see when you're visualizing, but you're feeling, you're hearing, especially for you, the blades on the track, the noises around the bend. Like it's visualization is more than just actually seeing. It's bringing in all your senses, how it feels, your grip, your shoes when you're running. I always say it's so important to visualization because I know that we have the word visual in there, but it's all the other senses that are going to help you, to your point, get acclimatized to that moment when you have to take off and go down the track. So I like I said, I like that little tidbit. Yeah, you gave there. It makes total sense. So maybe run us through, you have this routine building up. Run us through an experience you've had when it's gone wrong, and then how do you adapt to oh my God, I'm not feeling the way I want to feel. Run us through an experience you've had with regards to something like that happening.
So um, I had a like experience where actually my last race of the season before qualifying before the going to the games, I was my there's two runs to skeleton. There is the first run, and then in the race, the second run is going to happen between 30 to an hour after your first. Um, so there is also we thought all so much about like getting prepared for your first run. There's always the excitement for the game, for the race, for that first run. And then after you finish your first run, you're not done, and it's only halfway done. So you always have to like that's also crucial to remain your emotional, uh, like be as neutral as you can. You don't want to spike high or you don't want to drop low if you had a bad run. So it's all resets. You want to have like in a lot of ways we were told you want to be like a goldfish, you want to forget it right away and move on to the next because you that second run could also still put you back into the race. Uh, where for me, I was sitting, I had an amazing run for my last race, and I was just sitting at a podium. I was at a third place. I was able to beat a more experienced slider who I was struggling to beat the whole season. And finally, I was able to catch up to him. So it was a great feeling. I was
Mhm.
really feeling all of it. But that was a feeling that I was not familiar with.
Right.
My second run, I did not do as well, and I've dropped down to fourth. Still, it was a great result for me, but and it was a PB runs. But I've lost a bit of focus because in my visualization, I haven't been. You always prepare. I feel like you tend to prepare more for when things go bad,
That's right. Yeah.
how you're gonna be feeling, and then you're like, oh, you kind of get like that feeling when you're like your back is against the wall, but you also need to be used to the feeling when you're top of the world and it's all of your like it's yours to lose.
Yeah.
Um, so it's both. You need to be ready for both. And really, when visualizing, you want to be like, oh, how are you going to be feeling when you stand at the start line? Uh, and then how are you want to have some like thought of how you're going to bring yourself back to that, so it doesn't surprise you.
Yes, that's a great point. Like like you said, a lot of times we allude to like our negative emotions and how do we come back, but it's also like the heightened positive emotions that you get too excited, um, and your heart rate starts to pump, right? So because you're excited, but can also affect your performance, which people sometimes forget. And I think why and when we're visualizing, I think to your point, is important to, put yourself in a scenario where, you know, things go bad, where maybe it's your time, you missed a corner, but also where, like you said, things go well, so that when the time comes, your unconscious mind is, you're familiar with the moment at hand, right? And when we're most present, we perform our best. Um, so that's a great point, and I like that. And I like people, like you said, tend to forget about that because you always look on the negative side of things to rebound back. So, kind of talking about these emotions and controlling them, like you have spikes that happen, and trying to keep them, like you said, leveled or balanced as best as possible. Bring us to the Olympic Games, where emotions are times 10, if not more, with regards to yourself, the people, the fans, the lights, the cameras, um, your experience, your feelings and your process being there for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, there's it is everything times 10. Luckily, with the cameras and everything set up that they have, 2 days before our race, they would try to the film crew was practicing for themselves. They were getting in place, and they were starting to maybe for us or maybe for themselves. So they started to have like cameras in our face. That really surprised me because as I'm getting ready, I do like to do like breath work but there was a camera right in my face and I felt so exposed and like, oh, I kind of don't want to like breathe heavily right now. I don't want to be looking like you get somewhat conscious of what you look like and how you're appearing on the camera.
Yeah.
So you don't want to that was I really tried to fight that.
Yeah, social
Um
pressures, right? Social, how you should feel.
yeah,
And yeah. Interesting.
yeah. Uh Luckily, it wasn't during the race that was my first time, so I did somewhat try to adjust to it. But then during the very race, there's different pressures that come right away from training, and it's go time now. It's everything. Um, yeah, you you slightly um, you start thinking about a lot of things about like representing Canada, being on the biggest stage, everyone's watching, but then you always try to go bring yourself back to it. It's the same track you've been trying to work on. But I've only been on a track. I was at a slight disadvantage because I wasn't as a developing team. I didn't have any practice on a track prior earlier in the season. I've only been there like I only had 10 runs prior to um, the race, while everyone else was around 30 to 35 runs. Um, so that already put me at a slight disadvantage, but you still want to focus on your very best performance and on your execution. So you don't know what to think. It's kind of your first time on a big stage like that.
Yeah.
You try you don't you I was grasping a little bit for what my game plans is and um but you try to go back to what you're training like you're training and like what you've done before. But I there's a lot happening.
Yeah, like you're saying, trust the process. But yeah, talking to a lot of athletes, especially their first Olympics, um, it's you don't know until you're until you're there and you're in the moment what exactly this hype is that people talk about. But yeah, going back to like what you said, going back to the process and trusting, your instincts, the coaches, what the program they put you through, your mind and your body, and going down for that big run. um, in saying that, um, you kind of alluded to like you want to really have your mind quiet and you don't want to be thinking. So for some of these runs, and we call it flow state, where you lose sense of self. Things become a lot easier. You're not thinking, and you lose a sense of time. Things happen. Either time speeds up or slows down, and before you know it, you're at the bottom, and it's like a snap of a finger, so to speak. Um, can you share an experience I'm sure you've had with regards to that perfect, beautiful run, and you've felt and performed your best? Um,
Yeah, yeah, that exactly how it felt. You focus from one thing to the time. You go one corner and then you exit, you go to the next and you go to the next. And there's no everything seems to be going so smoothly. There's no spike of emotion in any form of way. Well, you
mhm.
never really try to have it. You always want to be
Yeah.
not reacting, but you want to be executing your game plan. And you also every time you're sliding, you want to be aware of where you are in the track, and everything just like is correct, it's right, it flows, and then you don't think of any thoughts like, oh, I just need to. You don't think about the time of where you are in a race, of how much you need to gain time to like what spot you need to move on. It is just focus in the moment, and boom, you're at the finish line, and it's like, oh, did I just do that? Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's like you said, that's I always tell athletes, we're chasing those moments, and it could be it could be in a practice run, it could be a competition, it could be at the Olympics. We're chasing those moments that just feel there's just no feeling. That's how
there's no feeling, there's just
yeah.
action. Yeah.
That's awesome. So going back to your Olympics experience, like maybe walk us through like maybe walk us through your runs and how everything kind of played out. Um, I know from talking now, it was you were maybe a little bit surprised that you had this opportunity, but you're here, you're doing it. Yeah, walk us through your runs and how things are going and how you're feeling, your emotions, and talk a little bit about the excitement as well.
Yeah, so during my Olympic uh, races, it was 4 runs total. Uh, Out of those 4 runs, I only had, uh, I guess, one run that was where I should have been, and so I had a massive personal best time for one of my runs, where that's where I was able to execute my plan. Uh, that and my coaches were constantly urging me, like they knew that I could have done it, and that was how I was able to slide. Um, but there's in a lot of ways, um, I've could have been more happier with the other 3 runs, but uh, that is I guess that's something to need to work on. And then looking back at it, in a debrief, there is a lot of little factors that could have been different, that I could have been done different, and that was the whole reason why I've been like they decided to send me to the games, is to get that experience,
Mhm.
to know all those things you need to work on in order to perform on the biggest race of your life. So um, there is a lot of excitement with making it to the games, and then there is some disappointment with your performance. You always want to keep on improving, and you always look for the things to improve on. So, and then that actually becomes exciting because
Yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of areas to improve on. So, and over the next 4 years, that is exactly what I'm going to be focusing on, because uh, you want to do better next time.
Yeah, from the look on your face, you got a big smile there. So like kind of like exactly what you said. Something knowing you have room for improvement is exciting in itself. And the fact that your coaches know you have potential to compete at that level is another kind of, confidence builder as well going into the next season. So it's nice to see that the experience, like you said, every athlete, you're your biggest critic. You always want to do better, but big picture, it looks like you had a great time, a great experience, and you have a lot to take away from it. Um, Kind of lastly, like I know you're from Croatia, but you got to represent Canada. What did that mean to you, your friends, your family, representing the Maple Leaf?
For me, that was a very proud moment. I've only became a Canadian citizen 2 years ago, October 10th, 2024. But it was a very, very impactful moment for my parents. So um, they've decided to move to Canada 11 years ago now from Croatia, and the reason was for opportunities for us, like their kids, me and my sister, and like everything that Canada has to offer, all the opportunities. So it was a very much like a big circle moment where uh, they were proven right. All of their like doubts, all of their concerns, and the big life change that they made has paid off for them because they wanted to have like give me an opportunity to chase my dreams, and that would not be possible if I wasn't in Canada. So if I would never be doing skeleton if I didn't move here. So it was a really, really impactful moment for like my whole family.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. And um, they have their journey that got you here, but it's nice that they can kind of, um, like you said, it solidified their decisions that they've made
Yeah,
along the way, and now they can kind of, be part of your journey and your story,
yeah,
with the help of them that got you here. So it's a cool, like you said, a cool full circle moment. And
yeah. Because my dream fulfilled their dream too. Yeah.
that's amazing. I think that's at the end of the day, like you can't ask for anything more than that. So, um, huge congratulations, because I know to make it to these games is, it takes a lot of dedication, work, commitment, um, all the yeah, yeah, a lot of work and dedication. So I commend you for, taking a chance on a sport that's a little bit new to you, following your dreams, and your path. And it looks like you have a next big season ahead of you for more training. And I'll definitely, now that I know the sport a little bit more and I've met you, I'll be definitely tagging along for the next one for sure. So I appreciate you coming out and chatting with us.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.